Welcome to another video review. Today I'm looking at the SilverStone Strider Gold 1200 watt power supply. This is a great looking box. I like this gold, black, bold styling. And it should be bold considering this is a 1200 watt power supply that can peak up to 1300 watts. The Strider Gold power supply will certainly fulfill even the most hungry gaming enthusiasts or whatever you're plugging this into, where you need so much juice. This power supply is 80 plus gold certified with efficiencies that are completely insane. I'll have more on all this later on in the video review. 100% modular, 24/7 continuous power output, a strict plus minus 3% voltage regulation, and low ripple and noise. Japanese main capacitors, very important to have Japanese caps. Silent running, a very quiet 135mm fan, and supports the ATX 12 volt 2.3 and EPS 12 volt with dual EPS 8-pin connectors. As you can see here, lots of other features and specifications about the product all around the box, and it even has a picture of the product on the box. Okay, enough of me talking. Let's open it up and see what's inside. Your typical swing up power supply box, and this is a pretty big box. User manual. Let's see what's in this accessory box. Looks like a schematic, a diagram of the modular lead connections at the back. I guess you can choose to stick this on or just leave it off if you want to. And a nice power cord, pretty thick. It would need to be for a power supply of this caliber. This quality styrofoam on the top, so it's not going to move around. The power supply, well, let me get to that in a second. What else is in here? All the modular leads, well, some of them at least, most of them are actually connected already. We have here some Velcro tie downs as well as some standard plastic cable ties, as well as 4 black screws for mounting this in the case, and of course the power supply. And as you can see, the power supply itself is wrapped in this bubble wrap bag to protect it. Let me take it out and have a look. Look at that. Okay, let's really have a close look at this power supply. I almost missed this. They also include 4 regular thumb screws. So if you love thumb screws, then you can use those instead. Now there are tons of different Strider series power supplies, but remember that this is the Strider Gold series, and they are available in wattages ranging from 750 to 1200. I'll be reviewing the 1200 watt model, which has a peak power, as I mentioned, of 1300 watts. Now, how is this wattage determined? Well, to understand that, you need to know what rails are. Rails are basically well-regulated transformers which convert domestic current into the voltages that your computer system can use, and there are essentially 2 different rails, the 3.3/5 volt rail and the 12 volt rail. And in this particular case, the approximate maximum peak output of the 3.3/5 volt rail is 150 watts, and the 12 volt is a whopping 1200 watts. Now remember that the power supply has a peak of 1300 watts, so 12 volts times 100 amps will give you the 1200 watts for the 12 volt rail, which is essentially how the wattage of this power supply is determined. The 3.3/5 volt rail is responsible for the motherboard, memory, PCI cards, and so on, while the 12 volt rail is responsible for the hard drives, optical drives, fans, CPU, video cards, etc. Now it's also important to know the peak amps on each rail. Well, the plus 3.3 volt and the plus 5 volt rails are 25 amps each, but this power supply has a single plus 12 volt rail and it is a very impressive 100 amps. There are a number of important things to remember when selecting a power supply. The first is wattage. Determine how much wattage you are going to require by the amount of hardware that you will be installing. Generally speaking, a medium to high-end gaming rig would require a 500 to 700 watt power supply. For a hardcore system, select a power supply that's around 800 watts. If, however, you are building an extreme gaming rig with a top-of-the-line multiple video card setup with lots of other hardware, select a power supply that's 1000 watts or greater. Second, it should be at or above 80% efficient at typical load. The efficiency of this power supply is between 87 to 90% at 20 to 100% loading. Third, it should meet the latest ATX and other current standards, environmental directives, overvoltage, undervoltage, and other protections. This power supply meets all current standards. Fourth, I'd recommend choosing a power supply that has APFC. APFC, or active power factor correction, assists the power supply in being more efficient and therefore stable under load. APFC basically reduces total harmonics, corrects input voltage, and it allows for full input voltage range. Thankfully, this power supply has APFC. Fifth, there are three main certifications, 80 Plus, NVIDIA SLI, and ATI Crossfire. Many of today's high-end power supplies meet one or more of these certifications. This power supply is certified to meet the 80 Plus Gold requirement. Sixth, look for a power supply that uses Japanese capacitors. This ensures a much more reliable product than a power supply with low-grade capacitors. This power supply uses Japanese brand capacitors. Finally, get a power supply that has enough leads for your setup. Also consider a power supply that has a modular design because it reduces the cable mess inside of the case. Also, it's important to get a power supply with an excellent warranty. This power supply comes with a 3-year warranty. Now have a look at the paint job in this power supply. I think it's gorgeous because it's matte black. It looks rough, and it is rough to the feel. It has that solid appearance. I like it. Also, the housing is steel. They as well include a very quiet 135 millimeter fan with a recessed fan grill. This fan and the ventilation ensures that the inside of the power supply will remain cool in almost any environment. I should also mention that there's extra ventilation here at the back of the power supply. You know that buzzing that you get sometimes from video cards that will drive you insane eventually? Well, to reduce this electrical whine or buzz associated with high-performance video cards' dynamic loading changes, they have 2,200 microfarad capacitors attached to the PCI Express connections. This design also helps to maintain better voltage stability and improve ripple and noise performance. Now this might disappoint some. You notice that there's a power connection. This is where the power cable gets connected. But where's the power switch? Well, there is none. Now in most cases a power switch is not needed. But if you are overclocking, tweaking, and your system locks, well, it's nice to have, that switch that you can shut everything down. Not particularly needed, like I say, in most situations, even if you are overclocking or tweaking, because you can hold down the power button and the system will usually shut down in today's motherboard. So that's not a big deal. But for some people, it could be a deal breaker. Now, have you noticed this? How long the power supply is? Or should I say, how short it is? Remember that this is a 1200 watt power supply that peaks at 1300 watts. And it's just over 7 inches. Very, very impressive. So you'll be able to fit this in pretty much any case that's on the planet. You might even be able to fit this in some oversized small form factor cases or LAN party cases, but certainly any kind of decent brand name mid-size tower case, no problem, and without a question, full-size tower cases. Do you remember that sticker I showed you at the beginning of the video? This is not a trick question, and please don't go back and look. I'll show you. This is the sticker. This sticker gets stuck right here if you want to stick it there. I probably would not because, well, I don't like stickers that much and I kind of know where they go. Anyway, this sticker just shows you where the modular leads get connected. All of the leads on this power supply are sleeved, as well as being modular. Now you might be wondering, why did I leave all these leads connected into the power supply during the whole review? Well, I wanted to treat you. I wanted to now remove every single lead on the power supply to show you how very cool it is. Why is this cool? Well, you can connect only the ones that you need, no more, and this frees up space inside of the case and it improves airflow as well. It looks simply brilliant. Maybe it's just me, but when all of the leads are removed from a 100% modular power supply, it just looks odd. It looks weird. It looks off. It doesn't look right at all because, of course, power supplies are supposed to have cables hanging out of them, all kinds of them. Well, of course, you need to have some cables attached, but when they are all removed, I don't know, it looks kind of scary to me. Scary, but very cool. Okay, shh, it's time to listen to the fan. Remember, this is a 135 millimeter fan. And of course, this will sound a little bit louder once the power supply is under load, but it's still extremely quiet. Have a listen. If you're in the market for a premium power supply and you need it to be short, this is not too long, and supply lots and lots of power, perform extremely well, come with a quiet 135 millimeter fan, and look very, very handsome, well, this would definitely be it. And remember that this power supply is 100% modular. Now, it does not come with a power switch, so for some people that could be an issue. But all things considered, this is a 100% kick-ass product. Until next time, take care.